after paying my sister's rent for 6 months while she got back on her feet. I came home from work to find the locks changed, my dog gone, and my photos torn off the walls. I called her, panicked. She laughed and said, "This was never your house. I just let you stay while you were useful." She hung up. The police said it was her name on the lease. That night I slept in my car. 3 weeks later, I found something in the trash outside that changed everything. I'm 32. Live in Dayton, Ohio. Been working as a mechanic since I was 19. I've never made great money, but I've always had a job. Always paid my way. I don't drink much, don't party, just keep to myself mostly. My life was simple. Quiet. Until Amber showed up. Amber's my younger sister. She's 29, and has never held a job longer than 6 months. She's one of those people who makes everything feel urgent, like the world is constantly against her, and she's just trying to survive. Growing up, she was dramatic, always in some mess. My parents babied her, and told me to be the bigger person. So I was. Last November, she called me out of nowhere crying. Said her boyfriend kicked her out, and she had nowhere to go. She was living out of her car with her dog, Lacey. It was starting to snow. I couldn't just leave her like that. I had a 2-bedroom apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, warm, and safe. I told her she could crash with me until she figured things out. I even told her to bring Lacey. I love dogs, and I knew she needed that dog more than anything. She showed up the next day. Had 3 trash bags full of clothes, some beat-up makeup cases, and that was it. She looked rough. I felt bad for her. At first, it was okay. We stayed up late talking like when we were kids. I told her I'd help her get a job, help her get her own place. She cried and said she was grateful. She kept saying, "I'll pay you back, I promise." But weeks passed. Then months. She didn't get a job. Every time I brought it up, she had an excuse. "I'm still recovering from everything." Or, "That place is toxic, I don't want to work somewhere like that." Or, "They didn't call me back." I offered to help her with her resume, even drive her to interviews. She always brushed it off. Meanwhile, I paid everything. Rent, water, electricity, food, gas, Wi-Fi, everything. She said she'd contribute soon. I just kept telling myself she was going through a hard time. I didn't want to be heartless. But she didn't act like someone who was struggling. She slept all day. She left dirty dishes everywhere. Took long showers and ran up the hot water bill. Ordered DoorDash every other day and never offered to pay. She started smoking weed in the bathroom even though I asked her not to. Said it helped her anxiety. The only good part of the whole situation was Lacey. That dog was like a little emotional support animal for me. Every night when I came home exhausted, she'd come wagging her tail, curl up next to me on the couch. I walked her every morning before work. She started following me around more than Amber. I didn't think much of it at the time. I figured we were just bonding. Fast forward 6 months. I'm burning out. I'm taking extra shifts just to keep up with all the bills. I'm eating ramen for dinner while she's on TikTok in the other room, giggling on video calls with people I don't know. I was getting fed up, but I still hadn't kicked her out. Then came the day everything fell apart. It was a Tuesday. I'll never forget it. I just worked a double shift, got off around 9 p.m., and drove home with fried chicken I was planning to eat in the shower. I pulled into the lot, walked up to the door, and my key didn't work. I tried again. Nothing. I looked around, confused. Then I noticed the peephole on the front door was covered with black electrical tape. I rang the bell. No answer. I knocked louder. Still nothing. I texted her. "Why did you change the lock?" She replied with a laughing emoji. Then she called me. I answered and said, "What the hell is going on? Why can't I get in? Where's Lacey?" She laughed. Not like a joke laugh. It was mean. Cruel. Then she said, "This was never your place. I just let you stay while you were useful." And she hung up. I stood there like an idiot, in the cold, holding a bag of fried chicken, trying to process what just happened. I called the police. They showed up and looked at the lease. Her name. Not mine. I'd let her sign it back when she moved in because she said it would help her build credit, and she didn't have an address for job applications. I didn't think it would matter. I paid the rent every month. Every receipt was under my name, linked to my bank account. But that didn't matter. They told me I had no legal right to the place. That night, I slept in my car in the Walmart parking lot. I called off work the next day. Told my boss I was dealing with something personal. He let me crash on his couch for a few nights. He didn't ask questions. just handed me a beer and said, "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." For the next few weeks, I was stuck in limbo. I couldn't get back in the apartment. All my stuff, my clothes, my tools, even my dad's old watch, were inside. She never answered my texts. Blocked me on everything. I filed a civil complaint but was told it could take months. I didn't have money for a real lawyer. And Lacey. I couldn't stop thinking about her. I'd raised that dog for half a year. She was more mine than Amber's at this point. I was scared she'd end up in a shelter or worse. 3 weeks later, I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I drove by the old apartment. I just wanted to see it. I don't know. Maybe to see if Lacey was in the window. Instead, I saw trash bags on the curb. One had split open. Papers and junk spilling everywhere. I got out of the car and walked over. I wasn't expecting anything. But something caught my eye. A big yellow envelope with my name written on it. It was sealed. Untouched. Buried under some pizza boxes and junk mail. I picked it up and opened it. It was from a law office. Inside was a letter from my uncle's estate. He'd passed away a few months earlier. I hadn't even known, and he left me everything. $187,000 in cash. A classic car. And a house. I was supposed to receive this information 2 months ago. The letter had been sent 3 times. There was even a sticky note inside, in handwriting I knew damn well was Amber's. It said, "Return to sender," with my name crossed out. She'd hidden it from me. She knew what it was. She stole my inheritance. That was the moment something changed in me. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was pissed. And I was ready to fight. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car with that envelope on the passenger seat, just staring at it. I kept reading the letter over and over like maybe I was missing something. But I wasn't. My uncle had died. Left me almost $200,000, a 1971 Chevelle, and a house in Miamisburg. All of it was mine. And Amber had thrown it in the trash. She knew. She saw my name. She opened that mail and decided to keep me in the dark. Not only that, she kicked me out and locked me out of the apartment I'd been paying for. She wanted me gone. Not just because she was done using me, but because if I found out about this inheritance, her little scam would fall apart. I didn't care how tired I was. I drove straight to the law office listed on the envelope. They weren't open, but I left a message. I also took pictures of everything, the envelope, the letter, the sticky note. I needed proof. The trash was technically public, so she couldn't claim I stole anything. That was Thursday. By Monday, I was sitting in a real office, across from a lawyer who looked like she didn't believe half of what I told her, until I showed her the evidence. She leaned back in her chair and let out a long breath. "This is fraud," she said. "Mail tampering. Identity misrepresentation. Possibly more, depending on what else we find." I asked her how much it would cost. She said she'd work on contingency, because there was a strong case. I almost cried right there. That's when things got real. She got in touch with the estate's attorney, and guess what? Amber had already contacted them. She'd emailed, using a fake Gmail account under the name Assistant for R.D. She claimed to be my personal assistant. Said I was traveling abroad for work and wanted all estate matters handled through her. She even gave them a fake phone number and sent a scanned ID. That was the most messed up part. She had photoshopped a passport using my name but with her face. It looked real at a glance. It almost worked. They showed me everything. Emails, timestamps, attachments. I couldn't believe it. My own sister had impersonated me to steal my inheritance, then threw me out like trash when she didn't need me anymore. It was deeper than just betrayal. It was premeditated. She must have known the money was coming before she kicked me out. Maybe she saw the first letter weeks earlier. That's probably why she was in such a hurry to get me out, to make sure I didn't get the mail. I told my lawyer I wanted to press charges. All of them. She nodded and said, "We'll start with a civil suit. But I'm also calling the DA." Meanwhile, I started staying with my buddy full-time. He helped me get back on my feet. I picked up weekend jobs, saved what I could. But I couldn't stop thinking about Lacey. I still didn't know where she was. I didn't have the guts to show up at the apartment again. I didn't want to get arrested, and I didn't want to give Amber any reason to claim I was harassing her. But I needed to know the dog was okay. One day, I swallowed my pride and called my mom. We hadn't talked in months. She always defended Amber, even when Amber stole money from her in the past. But I figured maybe she knew where Lacey was. I told her everything. From the rent, to the mail, to the lawyer. At first, she didn't believe me. Said, Amber wouldn't do that. But when I sent her photos of the envelope and the fake email, she went quiet. Then she whispered, "Oh my God." Turns out, Amber had also told my mom that I stole from her. That I trashed the apartment. That I abandoned the dog. She said she had to change the locks because I was becoming violent. None of it was true. My mom was crying on the phone. She said she hadn't heard from Amber in weeks. Said she stopped replying to texts after borrowing $400 for vet bills. I asked, "Do you know where Lacey is?" She didn't. But 2 days later, I got a Facebook message from a guy named Justin. I didn't recognize the name. He said, "Hey, you don't know me, but Amber left her dog at my place last month. She never came back. Are you the real owner? I'm moving next week and can't keep her." My heart almost stopped. He sent a picture. It was Lacey. Same eyes. Same little white patch on her paw. She looked skinny but alive. Still had her old collar. I replied instantly. "Yes. I'm the owner. Please don't give her away. I'll come get her today." He lived 2 towns over. I drove there that afternoon. When I knocked on the door, Lacey barked. I heard her before I even saw her. The second that door opened, she charged toward me and jumped into my arms. She didn't forget me. Justin stood there awkwardly, holding a vape. Said, "She's a good dog. Just kinda depressed, I guess." I thanked him 100 times and offered him money. He refused. Said Amber left the dog and disappeared. Never paid him back for the food he bought. Said she was always on her phone, always lying about some drama with her family. I took Lacey home that night. Gave her a bath, fed her 3 times, and let her sleep on the bed. She didn't move from my side once. Now I had my dog, a lawyer, and a case. Amber had no idea what was coming. 3 weeks after getting Lacey back, things got even weirder. My lawyer had filed the civil suit, and the DA had opened a criminal investigation. Amber still hadn't responded to any legal notices. She didn't show up to the first court hearing. Her phone was disconnected. She was off social media. It was like she vanished. I figured she was just hiding, avoiding everything. That would have been typical Amber behavior. But then I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, an Indiana area code. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened to the message, my blood went cold. Hey. I don't know if this is the right person, but I found your number in some papers. You're listed as an emergency contact for Amber ____. I think she might be in trouble." The guy left his name, Craig, and said he ran a small roadside motel outside of Richmond, Indiana. He said Amber had been staying there under a different name. Left behind some stuff, didn't check out, and now hadn't returned in over a week. I called him back. He told me she'd showed up a month ago with some guy. Paid cash. Registered as Ashley Dean. Said she looked nervous as hell. Said she told him she was running from an abusive ex and just needed somewhere quiet. She stayed for about 2 weeks, then the guy disappeared. Then she did. Left everything behind. Clothes. Phone charger. Even some mail. That's when I asked him, "Any chance I could come by and pick up what she left?" He hesitated. I told him I had legal reasons. That I was suing her, and the police might want the stuff. He agreed, under the condition that I show ID when I got there. The next morning, I drove out to the motel. Small, beat-up place with a broken neon sign and one of those cracked ice machines that never works. Craig met me out front with a box. Said they already tossed most of the trash, but he kept the stuff that looked important. I took the box and thanked him. I didn't even wait to get home. I opened it right there on the hood of my car. Inside were some random clothes, a broken iPhone, 2 lighters, a tangle of phone chargers, and a few pieces of unopened mail. One of the letters had my name on it. Again. But it had been opened. Inside was a follow-up from the estate, a notice about the sale of my uncle's car. I didn't even know it had been sold. The letter mentioned a buyer. I froze. I remembered the car was supposed to be mine. A classic 1971 Chevelle, sky blue, with the original engine. It had been kept in storage, waiting for the estate to finalize. But apparently Amber had somehow accessed the paperwork and sold it. That's when I remembered, my uncle's old address book was part of the estate. It had security questions, pins, even a copy of the storage unit code. The estate lawyer mentioned it had been mailed before the fraud was discovered. Amber must have opened that too. She'd stolen the car. I immediately called the estate attorney. Told her everything. She was furious. Said that selling the car would be grand theft, especially since Amber had no legal right to the estate at all. A few hours later, she called me back. She found the buyer. It was sold to a private collector in Cincinnati for $32,000. And the signature on the bill of sale? Amber used my name. I was shaking. I wanted to scream. It wasn't just about the money. That car was part of my family. It was my uncle's pride and joy. He used to take me to car shows and that thing when I was a kid. She sold it like it meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. And now we had even more proof of identity theft, forgery, and grand theft auto. That's when the police officially issued a warrant for her arrest. But she was still missing. Then, about a week later, things took another turn. I came home from work and saw an envelope taped to my front door. No stamp. No address. Just my name in messy handwriting. Inside was a single piece of paper. You never deserved it. You never deserved any of it. I took what I earned. I'm not sorry. It wasn't signed, but I knew it was from her. She knew where I lived. Which meant she'd been here. She'd stood outside my house, probably with me inside, and taped this to my front door like it was nothing. I called the police right away. They came, took the note, dusted it for prints, filed it as evidence. But they said what I already knew: she was spiraling. Getting desperate. Might do something stupid. That night I didn't sleep. I sat by the window with Lacey curled up next to me, my baseball bat across my lap, waiting for something to happen. It didn't. But I had a feeling something was coming. I didn't know when. I didn't know how. But I knew Amber wasn't done. Not yet. About 2 weeks after I got that note, I got a call from Detective Avery, the officer handling the criminal case. She sounded alert. Said they got a hit. Amber had been arrested. Not for the fraud, though, not yet. She was picked up for shoplifting at a Target in Bloomington, Indiana. Security caught her stealing a phone charger, makeup, and a bunch of travel-size shampoos. When they ran her ID, it came up fake. That's when they dug deeper. She was using an alias again. Same trick, different name, different ID. But this time, she slipped. She had her real social security card in her wallet. Dumb mistake. That's what triggered the warrant alert in the system. They held her in county jail. I drove down the next day to meet with the prosecutor and deliver my full statement. All the mail she stole, the email scams, the fake ID, the forged car sale. The estate attorney was with me. We both gave statements, and she had stacks of documents to back it all up. It wasn't just one crime anymore. It was multiple counts of identity theft, fraud, forgery, obstruction, and grand theft auto. They charged her on 7 counts. She pled not guilty. I wasn't surprised. But then came the trial. I didn't think she'd actually go through with it. I thought she'd take a deal or flee again. But no. She showed up in court with a cheap lawyer and a smug look on her face. Like this was just another family argument. She even had the nerve to smile at me when I walked in with Lacey's adoption papers and the rent receipts from all those months I covered. The trial lasted 3 days. I took the stand. Told everything, from start to finish. Held nothing back. Showed the pictures of the envelope I found in the trash, the bill of sale from the stolen car, and even the note she left on my door. The prosecutor asked me one last question. Why did you let her move in? I said. Because she was my sister. And I thought that meant something. Amber didn't testify. Her lawyer probably knew better. The jury took 2 hours to decide. Guilty. On all 7 counts. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison, minimum 3 before parole. And the judge didn't hold back. Said it was one of the most selfish, calculated acts of betrayal he'd seen in years. But here's the twist. A few weeks after sentencing, I got another call. This time from the estate lawyer. She sounded excited. Said they recovered the car. Apparently, the collector who bought the Chevelle had listed it online, bragging about the mint condition, family-owned muscle car. One of her paralegals spotted the ad, reached out, and explained it was stolen. The buyer didn't want any trouble. Gave it back immediately. When I saw it parked in front of the estate lawyer's office, I broke down. Full-on tears. It still had my uncle's little Ohio State keychain hanging from the mirror. She hadn't even bothered to remove it. I took it home. Parked it in my garage. Spent the next month fixing it up in the evenings. I didn't have to, it was already in great shape. But it felt good. Like I was putting something back together after everything else got broken. As for Amber, she sent me a letter from prison. It was 4 pages long. No apology. No remorse. Just ranting about how I took her future. How I turned everyone against her. And how none of this would have happened if I'd just stayed out of it. I didn't reply. I showed it to my lawyer, in case she tried anything again. And then I burned it. My mom didn't talk to me for a while. She blamed herself, then tried to blame me. Said I should have seen it coming. I told her I was done protecting people who used me. We haven't spoken since. I don't miss it. Now, I live in my uncle's old house in Miamisburg. It's quiet. I fixed up the back shed and turned it into my own little workshop. I started getting clients on the side. Word-of-mouth jobs. Nothing big, but enough. Lacey's healthy again. Sleeps on my bed every night. Still follows me from room to room like she's scared I'll vanish. I don't mind. We both got left behind by someone we trusted. Sometimes, I think about all the signs I missed. All the chances I gave her. The way I kept hoping she'd turn around. But the truth is, some people don't want to be saved. Some people only show you who they really are after they've taken everything they can. And when they're done, they don't look back. But I did. And I found the one thing she never meant for me to see. And that changed everything. She thought I was just a stepping stone. But in the end, I was the one who finished the climb. She ended up behind bars. I ended up with a dog, a house, a car, and my life back. She lost it all. And I don't feel bad. Not even a little.